I don't know what the weather's been like in your neck of the woods, but here in Illinois, it has been gross, rainy. We even had snow in April, but it finally looks like we are making a turn towards warmer temperatures and sunshine, and that makes me so happy because I can get outside and build. So come along today. We are making a ton of wood DIYs with inexpensive fence pickets. I'm going to show you how I made all of them and how you can build them too. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and a huge thank you to Warby Parker for sponsoring today's video. Also, a huge hello and welcome back to my whiskey craft buddies who are here each and every week to DIY with me. I'm so glad to have you guys along for the ride, so let's get into the first project. In order to DIY, we've got to grab our wood first. I personally love going to Menards. It's a Midwest exclusive, but you can get them at any hardware store. I'm using 1x6 by 6 foot long cedar dog-eared fence pickets, and I originally went to Home Depot instead of Menards this time because, as you can see, the weather was terrible, and I remembered that they had their fence pickets inside. Well, apparently that was a few years ago because I ended up hoofing them into my cart from outside getting snowed on, which was fun. Something to keep in mind too, you can do weather-treated pine or the cedar. The cedar is a little bit more expensive, but I really like it because it is naturally rot resistant, so sometimes it's worth the extra money. Now, regardless of what type you grab, make sure you're looking down the board, making sure it's not warped, there's not huge chunks out of it, or any wonky knots. And if you grab it wet like I did, I just put it up on some scrap wood in my garage, ran a fan for a while just to dry them out so that they wouldn't warp after I cut them. So now all that's said and done, let's start by building this beautiful planter box that you could hang on your front porch. So the first thing I needed to do was figure out how large I wanted that back piece to be. And I ended up cutting it over 30 inches to start, and it was a little bit too big when I lined it up, so I ended up cutting that down to 28 inches. I also needed to take the dog ear off the top, so I just did a quick little trim, and then I had my backer piece. Then I needed to cut 3 pieces at 6 inches long to be the bottom and 2 sides of my bottom box. And then I also needed an additional piece. I ended up having to cut it at about 6.5 inches, and I'll show you why that piece needs to be bigger. Once you set up your sides and the bottom of your box like this, you're going to need a piece that will stretch over both sides of the 2 sides. So that's why it needs to be 6.5 inches, and you'll see in assembly why you need that. So here's your cut list. You can pause, screenshot if you need that so that you can save it for later. And every time I'm working with cedar, I always make sure to give it a good sand. This is 100-degree sandpaper, and hold on tight because sometimes the pieces might go flying. Be safe out there, friends. Then we're going to add some wood glue and assemble it before we add our stain. So I put some glue on the bottom and started with my bottom piece with brad nails and wood glue. I'm using 1-inch brad nails on my thin fence pickets. Once the bottom was on, I went back through with glue on either side, and you're going to nail the sides and the bottom. If you do not have a nail gun like I do, no worries. You can use finish nails and a hammer. It'll take you a couple more minutes, but it will work just fine. Then your last step is to add your additional glue to the front, and we're going to add that about 6.5-inch piece. Nail that down, and you've got this beautiful box. Now, if you are planning on having this be a functional planter at the bottom and you need some wood drainage, I also suggest at this point giving a couple drill holes to the bottom so it will naturally drain. But mine, I think I am going to display some faux foliage because I tend to kill all of the plants that we have. Let me know down below, do you have a green thumb or not? I finished off by staining it with some early American stain, and this thing is beautiful. I love these faux tulips along with some eucalyptus, and I plan to add our house number on it and display this on our front porch, but you could add a stencil, or you could just add some ribbon or a wreath and change it out per the season. So if you want to hang it, you can add a picture hanger to the back, but I think it's beautiful just as it is, and this would also be beautiful for decor for a party or event. For that last project, I didn't need the full 6-foot fence picket, so I am going to take the scrap piece. I sanded it down and stained it with that same early American, and I have this tea towel in my stash. I've had it for such a long time. It's originally from Hobby Lobby, and I love the pattern on it. So I decided to lay it down to get it to where I wanted on my piece of wood and trimmed it so I would have enough fabric to go around each side. I trimmed the bottom, and then I flipped it over and used hot glue on either side as well as the bottom to create a pocket. Now I'm not going to fold it over entirely. I'm going to take the edge and line it up at the edge, so then that way I have a little bit extra room to work with in the front to add flowers to my pocket that I'm making. And once that's all glued down, I wanted to make sure it was fully secure, so I went back through with my staple gun and just reinforced the fabric. The flowers aren't going to be too heavy, but I just wanted to make sure it would stay and the glue wouldn't pull on me. Then I'm going to add a picture hanger to the back. I could get these at Home Depot or really anywhere. And they're really nice because you line them up in the center of your wood and you just take a hammer and hammer it right in. You've seen me use these before, and they're really nice to have on hand when you want to hang something like this. Then I'm going to take my faux tulips. Some are from Target, some are from Walmart. You can also find similar ones on Amazon, which I'll link down below. I tucked it in my wall pocket, and this is beautiful. Now, originally, I got a little too excited, overstuffed it, so you can stuff it a little bit less and see that beautiful wood tone. And this is going to live in our kitchen. I had an open area on a cabinet, and I absolutely love how it looks in there. So whether you're brand new to wood building or you are a veteran, everybody needs to make sure that they keep safety in mind while you're doing these projects. So whatever tools you have, make sure you're checking those manuals. You know your specific manufacturer and make, different lock features, different safety features. Make sure you understand that so you are staying safe. In that same vein, if you are in a weird stance or you are leaning or you're holding something with your hand too close to where a nail or a screw is going to go, just all the questionable things, this is not the time to push through. If something doesn't feel great, step back, reassess, maybe readjust, but make sure you are keeping yourself safe. And if you have a question or a flag raised, don't ignore it, step back, figure it out. And then ultimately, my biggest non-negotiable for safety when it comes to woodworking is eye protection. You want to make sure that you've got safety goggles on when you are cutting, when you are sanding. I also like to wear them when I am screwing or using a nail gun because you never know where those pieces can land. And you want to make sure that you keep your eyes safe and healthy. And eye care and protection isn't just a woodworking thing, it's an everyday life thing. And for that, my go-to is Warby Parker. I love working with them because they mix durability with style in their frames while also keeping them affordable. Warby Parker glasses with prescription lenses start at just $95, which is awesome. And the best part is you can find your perfect pair without having to even leave your house. With the Warby Parker at-home try-on program, you'll take a quick 5-minute quiz on their website and they'll suggest frames for you as a starting point. They've got them for every face shape and they design them in-house. You pick your top 5 and in just a few days, those frames will magically appear in your mailbox ready for you to try on at your own pace. My home try-on kit just arrived, so I've got 5 days to test out these frames, doing everything from playing with Finn through to editing a YouTube video. If I find a pair that I love, I head back to Warby Parker's website and I can order these with my specific prescription in them. The other great thing about Warby Parker is that they offer a 30-day hassle-free return and exchange policy, so you can buy with confidence. I always love hearing from craft buddies that you tried out some Warby Parker frames based on my recommendation, and I know that you will love Warby Parker as much as I did. Head over to warbyparker.com/whiskeyandwit right now to take the home try-on quiz and pick 5 pairs of frames to try on at home for free. That's warbyparker.com/whiskeyandwit. Now let's get into the next build. Last year when I showed you guys how to make these planters, I got a lot of you asking, how do I make a raised garden bed? So this year I'm going to show you quick and easy. This is so beginner friendly. At the store, you're going to want to grab 6 1x6x6 pickets. I grabbed these that are top like flat, so no dog-eared. And then I also grabbed 5 1x2s, 8 feet long, that are weather treated because it's going to be outside. I took my 1x2s and cut 10 pieces at 12 inches. And then I cut 4 pieces from the pickets, all at 17 3/4 inches. Then we are going to start by doing these short sides to put them together. So you're going to grab 2 of those 1x2 pieces you cut to 12 inches. Measure 5/8 of an inch from the outside. That is how much you want it to overhang because that is the width of your picket, and that is going to help our box fit together later on. I am loosely following an Anna White plan here, but I also made some adjustments. I will link the plan down below too. But once you screw 1-inch screws into all 4 of those with wood glue, then we're going to do the same thing with our pieces that we didn't have to cut. So these are the 6-foot long pieces. Then you're just going to repeat that with 2 more fence pickets and 2 more 1x2s. Then we need to make the long sides. So the same thing, measure your 5/8 inch from the outside, line it up, and then use 1-inch screws to attach. I like to use self-tapping outdoor screws because it helps with wood splitting. I still had some wood splitting, but it happens. Then I also added 1 piece in the center because this one is much longer than the other 2 sides. And I either had one bow when it was sitting in my garage, or I didn't follow my cardinal rule and pick out the right piece. So I have a little gap, no worries. Then when you make all your edges, these are how they're going to fit together. That's why you put the 5/8 inch spacer on the outside. And once they all fit together, I just eyeballed some trim pieces just to measure them so I could create a box on the outside.
Then I decided to use some of this weatherproof stain and sealer that I had, but you don't have to seal it. Like I said, Cedar is rot resistant, but I thought by using this, it would give it another layer of protection, 1. 2, I already had it on hand, and 3, it was going to help the weather treated 1x2s look a little bit more like the Cedar. I let that dry overnight, and then I assembled my box, so I put all my puzzle pieces back together. I used some old paint cans to hold it up, and then I used 2-inch construction screws on all of the outsides. It helped to use the power driver instead of just the regular drill here, so keep that in mind. If you have one, I would use that. And you're going to go through the 1x2 into the fence picket of the opposite piece. If you're screwing through the 1x2 that's on a short side, you're going to go into a long side and vice versa. Then it was time to add my trim. I just went down from the top with some more of those 2-inch screws. I did the 2 long ones first and then my 2 short pieces. And this thing was good to go. It's definitely quick and easy. You could absolutely crank it out over a weekend. And the best part is you can then decide how you want to do the bottom of your garden bed. So you could either do weed guard. I've seen people put cardboard in the bottom to stop the weeds. Whatever works for you. You can add some mulch in there. Our last frost here in Illinois is usually early-ish May, so I've got some time to figure it out before I can put any plants in here, because if I did it today, they'd be donezo. Up next, we're going to make this planter box and stand. This is another one that's pretty straightforward. I actually had some 2x2 furring strips left over from my last wood video, which was 1x2 DIYs. So I decided to use this to create the base because of the plants that I found. They were using 2x2s anyway. So I cut those down, and then I also cut down the fence pickets for the box. And here is your cut list. From those 2x2 furring strips, you're going to want 4 pieces at 23 inches, 4 pieces at 8.5, and 2 cut to 16 inches. For the fence picket, you want 2 at 8.25 and 2 at 24 inches. Now I will link the plan that I followed down below so you can check that out as well. As always, we're going to sand everything down, and then we are going to start by assembling the box. I'm putting some wood glue on the edge. The 2 smaller pieces are going to be the outside pieces, so we're going to overlap that with the side and use some brad nails to attach it. Again, you could use a hammer and some finish nails if you don't have a brad nailer. I'm going to work my way around the box with some more wood glue, adding the additional long side and then capping it off with the end. Now to build the legs. Now this might seem a little overwhelming, but let me walk you through it. We're going to start by measuring up from every end of our long leg pieces. So these are our longest 2x2s we cut. And I'm going to measure 3.5 inches from the edge. That is where the bottom of your 2x2 brace is going to sit, and we're going to attach them with 2.5-inch exterior screws. Line the bottom of your 2x2 up with the line that you marked and screw right in. Get one set and then add a second one. So you want 2 screws per leg just to make sure it's nice and solid. Now you could use pocket hole screws, but I'm showing you just how to screw through the outside because I know most people don't have pocket hole jigs. So here is how you can put it together, just screwing through the outside. Then we are going to use our 2 16-inch pieces to brace and attach the 2 legs. So we're going to measure the 8.5 piece, find the center, and that is where we are going to line up our 2x2 brace. Put them on a solid surface, and again, 2 screws per joint. But once you have the entire thing together, the box slides right in, and then you can fit in that top area a 12-inch planter. I found mine at Home Depot outside, of course, when the weather was terrible. It was under $10. It is a really nice size, and this 8x24-inch fits right in the center. And then at this point, you can finish it off how you want. I would sand down any rough areas, and then I decided to do the legs in jet black. And I did the box in Early American because I like cedar and how it looks with that Early American stain. Now this is a raised planter, but I decided to show you guys how you could do something a little different with it. I grabbed a bottle opener and a double robe hook from the hardware aisle at Home Depot, and I screwed them on either side. So here's another idea. Fill the planter box with ice instead of plants and some cold drinks. This would be great for around a campfire or just camping in general if you like to RV. And the best thing is you can pop the box off. You can pop the plastic container off to clean it. And then you can hang a towel from the robe hook so you can get any of the wetness off of your cans or your drinks or whatever you are doing. Our family loves to be outside in the summer and we are in need of more storage. So I have wanted to build this plan from Anna White for so long, and I finally got around to doing it. So it is a mixture of fence pickets, some 2x4s, some 1x3s, and some 1x2s. I will link the full plan down below so you can go over there. She outlines it so well with the cut list and everything. So please head over there. This is not my plan. You guys know Anna White is my BFF. That doesn't know, she's my BFF because I just love her plans, and they have gotten me really confident with woodworking over the years, and I'm just really thankful to her for that. So we're going to connect these 2x4 legs cut according to the plans to create these kind of pie shape, and then we're going to use the shorter fence pickets that we cut from the plans, overhang it about 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to screw in with 1-inch screws. I'm using drywall screws here because that's all I had on hand. I forgot to grab them at the store, and they did split my wood a little bit. It's no big deal. It was just small splits, but I would recommend doing some self-tapping 1 inches or pilot holes if you don't want your wood to split. Once we get the top one set, we're going to work our way down, and then we're going to repeat that again so we've got 2 sides. Then I am leaning them down on their side so I can get them square for my longer fence picket pieces so that I can create the long side of my cedar chest storage box. Once it is square like I want, I'm going to use those same screws and go down the front with the 3 fence picket pieces. I liked that these were matte black screws that we had on hand because I think it kind of adds to the look of it. I like matte black over like a gold screw, but any will work. Just know that they are going to be seen on the front. Then we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on the back side of our box. Now that our box is really starting to take shape, we are going to flip it over, and this is one of those instances where I was not in the right angle, so I flipped it around, got more safe, and put the 1x2 pieces at the bottom. These are going to act as stringers for our bottom that also has some drainage. I just screwed those on flush with the bottom of the box. Then on top of those 2x4 braces, there are 2 1x3 pieces cut to the plans. And then you lay out these 3 pieces on the top and you can nail them down. You don't have to screw these down because they are more decorative. I nailed them right into the 1x3s. So now we have one solid piece that is the lid. And then I'm using some galvanized hinges to make sure that they are rust resistant for outside to screw them into the back. These are the 2-inch size. I will link my supplies down below. Then once the lid was on and hinged properly, then the plans call for a couple more pieces that you will cut with that cut list, and you can add them to the stringers on the bottom of the box, get them where you want them, and then just use some more nails to hook them down. I like this because your stuff is going to fit in there, but also because I have a kid and we have a pool and stuff, the water will drain out. I went through with the same waterproofing stain and sealer that I used on the garden beds, and it turned out really good. I'm glad that it has an extra level of protection for outside because in Illinois, you never know what the weather is going to be. I applied it with a brush, let it dry overnight, and I am so excited how this turned out. You could easily make this and put either decals or paint on it. It would be great for pool supplies, pool towels. It would also be great to cover up a cooler, so you could hide a cooler in there and then folks could grab their stuff out of there. Packages on the porch, so many different things. I'm so glad I finally got around to making this box because it's been on my list for a while and I love how it turned out.
I hope after watching this, you are chomping at the bit to grab some tools and to DIY. If you make any of these projects, be sure to take a picture, share them on social media, or shoot an email to me at hello@whiskeyandwhit.com. I would love to see what you're creating. A huge thank you to Warby Parker for sponsoring this video and supporting Whiskey and Whit. Be sure to head over to warbyparker.com/whiskeyandwhit to take their home try-on quiz and try 5 pairs of frames at home for free. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Happy building! Bye!